Stop everything. Take a deep breath and let this moment settle in your spirit. This is not just another random pause in your day. You are not here by accident. This is a divine appointment, a moment set apart by God Himself. Everything that has led you to this very second, every struggle you've endured, every unanswered question, every tear shed in the secret place, has been leading you right here. And now, heaven has a message for you. You have wrestled with battles that seemed never-ending. The weight of waiting, the frustration of delay, and the silence of unanswered prayers have tested your faith. But let me tell you something. Your case has been reviewed in the courts of heaven, and God has ruled in your favor. The cycle that kept you trapped, broken, the chains of fear and doubt, loosened, the roadblocks that seemed immovable, removed. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. Isaiah 43:19. This is not just another encouraging word. It is a divine verdict. The battle you've been fighting is over. But here's the most crucial part. God is not just ending something in your life. He is beginning something greater. A door has been permanently shut behind you, but what stands before you is a path leading straight into your divine purpose, breakthrough, and favor. But before you step into it, you must acknowledge it. You must declare it. Right now, if your spirit is bearing witness to this, type 777 in the comments as a bold act of faith. Let it be your way of saying, "Oh, Lord, I believe. I receive. I align myself with your perfect timing." Your declaration is powerful. It is a statement to the heavens that you are stepping into this new season with confidence. And to those of you who have sown into this ministry through Super Thanks, I want to take a moment to say, thank you from the depths of my heart. Your generosity is not just seen here. It is seen in heaven. Every seed you have sown will return to you in ways you cannot yet imagine. May God bless you abundantly, multiply your harvest, and bring forth supernatural provision into your life. But don't go anywhere yet, because what comes next is crucial. God's work in your life does not stop at this announcement. It begins here. There is something powerful unfolding that you must not miss. Why is this happening now? What has shifted in the spiritual realm on your behalf? And what must you do next to walk fully into the victory God has already declared? Stay with me until the end, because this revelation will not only confirm what God has already done, it will equip you for the glorious season ahead. Are you ready to receive this truth? Are you ready to walk in the freedom that has already been secured for you? If so, take a deep breath, open your heart, and step forward in faith. Because by the time you finish this message, you will understand why God's timing is perfect and why your case has already been closed. Let's begin. God's chosen ones, God has closed your case. Don't miss this tonight. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself standing in a magnificent celestial courtroom. The air hums with an undeniable sense of power and peace. Light, pure, radiant, divine, fills every corner of the space, illuminating your presence before the highest judge of all. Before you, a sacred panel of heavenly beings looks upon you, not with condemnation, not with disappointment, but with deep knowing and compassion. They have witnessed every hardship you've endured, every tear that has fallen in the quiet of the night, every whispered prayer when you thought no one was listening. They saw you when you struggled, when you questioned if you would ever break free. And now, in this moment, a divine decree is spoken over your life. Your case is closed. The gavel strikes, the weight of past struggles shatters. The verdict has been rendered in your favor. The battle is over. The chains that once held you back are broken, and the doors to a new beginning are swinging wide open before you. It means that the chapter of endless struggles, repeated cycles, and unseen battles has come to an end. The mountain that once seemed unmovable is being leveled before you. The storms that raged without mercy are now clearing, making way for calm waters and clear skies. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. Isaiah 54:17. For some, this case may have been a financial struggle that never seemed to end. For others, it may have been a toxic relationship that drained your spirit time and time again. Maybe it was a sickness, an addiction, a deep-rooted fear, something that made you feel powerless and stuck. But listen closely. The gavel has struck. You're no longer bound by what once held you captive. The suffering you endured was not in vain. It was preparing you for what comes next. If you've ever wondered, why did this take so long? Why did I have to endure this pain for so many years? Let me remind you of the story of Joseph. Joseph endured betrayal and imprisonment, yet God's timing elevated him to his divine purpose. For years, can you imagine how hopeless he must have felt at times? But what looked like setbacks were actually setups for his divine purpose. The prison was not his final destination, the palace was. And when his appointed time came, God elevated him to a position of power in Egypt, using him to save an entire nation. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Genesis 50:20. Just like Joseph, your waiting was not wasted. Your pain was not pointless. It was a divine classroom, preparing you, refining you, and strengthening you. What if the delay was actually God's divine protection? What if the closed doors were actually redirections to something greater? What if this trial was meant to teach you something vital? Patience, faith, self-worth, forgiveness. And now, just like Joseph, your season of preparation has ended. God is declaring over your life, you have passed the test. The lesson is complete. The doors that were once shut are now opening. Now that the case has been closed, you must do something very important. Embrace the new beginning. Right now, I want you to pause and take a deep breath. Place your hand over your heart. As you inhale, imagine God's presence filling you with new life. As you exhale, release all the weight of the past, the disappointments, the doubts, the fear of what if. Now, silently affirm these words. I accept that my case is closed. I am no longer bound by the past. I stand ready to embrace the fresh start God has ordained for me. Can you feel the shift? This is more than just a physical gesture. It's a spiritual declaration. You are stepping into a new chapter, one where peace, joy, and divine favor will replace the burdens you once carried. But here's something you must understand. Embracing this freedom requires leaving behind the comfort of the past. It may sound strange, but many people find a peculiar security in their pain. They've carried it for so long that they don't know how to live without it. Familiar struggles, though painful, often feel safer than the uncertainty of change. Like the Israelites, who had been freed from slavery in Egypt but struggled to trust God in the wilderness, sometimes people resist stepping into freedom because they are afraid of the unknown. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light, so as to go by day and night. Exodus 13:21. Even when they couldn't see the full picture, God was leading them, and He is leading you too. Now, let me ask you, are you ready to step forward in faith? Are you ready to break free from the comfort of old struggles and walk boldly into the promise God has for you? Drop a comment below and type, I receive it, if you're ready to step into this new season with faith, courage, and expectancy, because the verdict has been given. Your case is closed, and your future is waiting. Let's be honest, letting go isn't always easy. Some people hold on to their past, not because they want to, but because it's all they've ever known. They wrap themselves in old pain like a familiar coat, believing that their suffering is what defines them. They convince themselves that change is too difficult, that healing is out of reach, that they are destined to remain stuck in the same cycle forever. But listen to me carefully, that is a lie. God has already spoken the final verdict over your life. Your case is closed. You are no longer bound to the mistakes, heartbreaks, and disappointments of yesterday. But in order to walk in this freedom, you must make a choice. Will you believe in God's decree? Will you trust that His decision is final? The Word of God reminds us, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:18-19. Imagine this. If a judge looked you in the eye and told you that your debt had been completely erased, would you continue making payments? Of course not. You would walk away in relief, maybe even celebrating your newfound freedom. This is exactly what God has done for you, spiritually, emotionally, and even physically. He has cleared your record. The burden that once weighed you down has been lifted. The doors that were once shut are now open. The pain that tried to define you no longer has a hold on you. So why would you keep carrying something that God has already removed? Now, I want you to pause and reflect. What have you been afraid to release? What lie have you been believing about yourself? What past wound have you been nursing instead of surrendering to God? Because now is the time to let it go. Think about all the things that once felt impossible for you. That dream you were afraid to chase. That relationship you never thought could be restored. That calling you felt too unworthy to step into. What if I told you that everything you once thought was out of reach is now available to you? God's word declares, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Philippians 4:13. This is not just a hopeful saying. This is a divine reality. God is not only opening doors for you, He's also equipping you for the journey ahead. The strength you need is already inside you. The path is already cleared before you. Now, all that remains is for you to walk in it. Your spirit team, the angels assigned to your life, are rejoicing right now. They have witnessed every battle you faced, every moment you wanted to give up, every tear you cried when no one else was watching. And now, they are celebrating this breakthrough with you. Can you feel it? The shift that has happened in the spirit? The weight lifting off of your soul? This isn't just a random moment. This is your divine turning point. But let me be clear. This does not mean life will be without challenges. Life is a journey of seasons, and each season comes with its own lessons. However, the cycle that once tormented you, the repetitive struggles that seemed unbreakable, that specific chapter is over. Think of it like finishing a book that held your attention for so long, a story filled with pain, lessons, and battles. But now you have turned the final page. A new story is beginning. For everything, there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven. Ecclesiastes 3:1. God's hands have cleared the table of your past struggles. Now, it's your turn to step forward and embrace what He has set before you. What will you do with this clean slate? How will you use this newfound freedom? This is not just about leaving something behind. It's about moving towards something greater. It's about stepping into your purpose with boldness, faith, and confidence. But before you can fully embrace this new season, you must sever the ties that have kept you bound to the past. I want you to imagine these attachments as invisible ropes, cords that have wrapped around you, keeping you tethered to pain, disappointment, and limiting beliefs. Maybe it's resentment twisting inside you every time you think about someone who hurt you. Maybe it's fear whispering that you'll never break free, that you're doomed to repeat the same mistakes. Maybe it's guilt convincing you that you're unworthy, of the blessings God is placing before you. Or maybe it's a person, someone who has drained your energy, tested your faith, or held you back from stepping into the fullness of who you were meant to be. Whatever it is, I want you to hear me loud and clear. It's time to cut the cord. Cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you. 1 Peter 5:7. Holding on to what God has already freed you from only slows you down. It keeps you from walking into the promise that's waiting for you. So right now, I want you to take a deep breath. Close your eyes, and as you exhale, release it. Release the bitterness. Release the doubt. Release the fear. Release the person, the memory, the mindset that has kept you stuck. God has already broken the chains. Don't hold on to them any longer. This is more than just a lesson. It's an invitation to step boldly into who God created you to be. An invitation to walk through doors that once seemed closed. An invitation to finally live with joy, peace, and unshakable faith. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Now is the time. The burdens you have carried, the pain you have held on to, the chains that have kept you tied to an old version of yourself, it is time to let them go. But letting go does not mean forgetting. It does not mean erasing the lessons learned or the experiences that shaped you. It means freeing yourself from the emotional entanglements that no longer serve you. Breaking free from the cycles that have kept you bound to suffering. It means stepping into the divine liberation that God has already prepared for you. The process of release is powerful, transformative, and deeply spiritual, and at the heart of this transformation is forgiveness. Forgiveness is not about pretending the pain never happened. It is not about excusing those who hurt you. It is about choosing freedom over resentment, peace over bitterness, healing over wounds that refuse to close. Forgiving others is essential, but just as important is the forgiveness you offer yourself. Perhaps you have been carrying guilt for mistakes you made or regret for opportunities you let slip away. Maybe you have been punishing yourself for things you cannot change, but your past does not define your future. God does not hold your failures against you, so why should you? It is time to untangle yourself from the shame and self-blame that have kept you trapped in an endless cycle of doubt. This process of release may not be easy. In fact, it may be one of the hardest things you ever do. But as you loosen your grip on old pain, as you let go of the belief that suffering is your identity, you will begin to feel something incredible: freedom. Imagine walking through life without the weight of resentment, fear, or guilt. Imagine waking up each day unburdened, lighter, fully present in the new chapter God has written for you. God is calling you to step into the fullness of your divine purpose, but you cannot take hold of your future if your hands are still clinging to the past. Trust that as you release these attachments, you are making space for new blessings, new opportunities, and new levels of growth. This is not just about moving on. It is about moving forward into the life that has been waiting for you. Take a moment to reflect. What are you still holding on to? Be honest with yourself. Identify 3 things: deep-rooted beliefs, past experiences, old wounds that are no longer serving you. Maybe you have told yourself, "I will always struggle financially," or "I will never find true love," or "I am not worthy of happiness." These are not truths. These are illusions designed to keep you small. For each of these attachments, write a statement of release. Say it out loud. I release the belief that I am destined for failure. I open myself to success. When you do this, you are breaking spiritual chains and declaring a new energetic standard for yourself. Releasing attachments is not just about letting go of objects or people. It is about shedding illusions. So many of us have been conditioned to believe that we need external validation, that we are not enough on our own, that struggle is a requirement for worthiness. But that is not the truth. The truth is this: you are worthy of all the blessings that life has to offer. You are capable of creating the life you desire. You are divinely guided, protected, and loved. But let's be real. This process will not always feel comfortable. As you start to let go, you may feel resistance, a temptation to cling to the familiar weight of old attachments. Even pain can feel safe when it is all you have known. But the verdict has already been rendered. Your case is closed. Holding on to the past is like carrying a heavy chain that has long since been unlocked. You have the power to drop that chain at any time. The moment you do, you will feel your energy shift, your spirit lift, and your heart open to the newness God is preparing for you. Have you ever noticed how much lighter you feel when you stop carrying burdens that aren't yours to bear? Have you ever walked away from something toxic and felt an immediate sense of peace? That is the power of release. As you let go, you will notice that emotions flow more freely, creativity comes more easily, and blessings start to appear in ways you never expected. When your hands are no longer full of baggage, you are finally able to grasp the blessings God is placing in your path. Your spirit team is cheering you on through this process. They see how much work you have done to get to this point. They understand that every attachment you release makes room for fresh, vibrant energy. Think of it like cleaning out a cluttered room. Once the space is cleared, it is finally ready for something new, something beautiful, something that truly aligns with your divine purpose. And here's the beautiful part. As you continue along this journey of liberation, you will begin to notice that your intuition sharpens. Without the cloud of old emotional baggage, you will be able to discern God's guidance more clearly than ever before. This state of release will become second nature, and you will start to recognize when something is no longer meant for you. In those moments, you will ask yourself, is this worth my energy? More often than not, you will realize it is not. And in that realization, you will continue to feel even more liberated. Letting go does not mean erasing your past. It means honoring it without letting it control you. Your experiences have shaped you, taught you, and brought you to where you are today. But now, you use those lessons as tools for growth, as wisdom to navigate your next chapter with confidence and grace. So, are you ready to release what no longer serves you? Are you ready to step into a life of unburdened, limitless possibility? The journey ahead is one of divine purpose and endless potential. It's time to lighten your load, embrace your freedom, and move forward with faith. Have you ever felt like something was nudging you in a certain direction, even though it didn't make logical sense at the time? Maybe you kept seeing the same number, hearing the same phrase from different people, or stumbling upon a message that spoke directly to your heart. These are not random coincidences. They are divine whispers, signs from God that you're on the right path. When you begin to truly align yourself with divine guidance, life starts unfolding in a way that feels effortlessly connected. Doors open, clarity comes. Unexpected confirmations appear just when you need them most. You might overhear a conversation that answers a question you've been wrestling with, come across a book that speaks directly to your situation, or meet someone who unknowingly provides the insight you've been searching for. These seemingly small moments are God's way of letting you know that He is with you, guiding you, and orchestrating every detail of your journey. We see this time and time again in the Bible. Moses encountered a burning bush that carried the voice of God. The wise men were led by a star to the newborn Messiah. Gideon asked for confirmation from God through a fleece that would be wet with dew, while the ground remained dry. Judges 6:36-40. Each of these moments served as clear, undeniable signs that God was guiding His people toward their destiny. What if the signs in your life are just as real, just as intentional. What if that gut feeling, that dream, that random meeting was actually a divine setup? Learning to recognize these moments requires an open heart and a willingness to trust that God is speaking, not always in loud, dramatic ways, but in subtle, gentle nudges. The more you strengthen your connection to divine guidance, the more you will notice these synchronicities occurring with increasing frequency. Decisions that once felt overwhelming will become clear. Instead of endlessly analyzing every possible outcome, you will feel a deep inner knowing, a peace that surpasses understanding, leading you in the right direction. This does not mean that life will be free of challenges, but when obstacles arise, you will no longer see them as setbacks, but rather as divinely placed opportunities for growth, refinement, and redirection. One of the most powerful ways to deepen this divine connection is through gratitude. When you take the time to acknowledge and thank God for every bit of guidance, every answered prayer, every moment of clarity, every whisper that eased your fears, you open the door for even more blessings to flow into your life. Gratitude is a powerful magnet. It draws in more of God's wisdom, love, and provision. Have you ever noticed how simply pausing to appreciate your blessings makes you feel lighter? When you shift your focus from what is lacking to what is already present, your heart expands, your perspective shifts, and your connection with God deepens. This is not just about saying thank you, it is about recognizing and receiving God's continuous presence in your life. Stillness, trust, and gratitude are the keys to hearing God's voice more clearly. In a world filled with distractions, learning to embrace quiet moments is one of the most powerful things you can do. It is easy to assume that divine messages must come in dramatic, supernatural ways. But more often than not, God speaks in whispers. Think about Elijah. After a long and exhausting journey, he stood on a mountain waiting for God to speak to him. There was a mighty wind, but God was not in the wind. There was an earthquake, but God was not in the earthquake. There was a fire, but God was not in the fire. And then came a still, small voice. That was where Elijah found God's presence. 1 Kings 19:11-12. What if the guidance you are seeking is already present, waiting for you in the quiet? Could it be that you have been looking for grand signs while God has been whispering to you all along? Take a deep breath. Place one hand over your heart and the other on your abdomen, grounding yourself in the rhythm of your breath. As you inhale, feel God's presence filling you with clarity and peace. As you exhale, release the need to have all the answers right now. In this moment, ask God, what do I need to know today? Then, be still. Listen. Pay attention, not just to words, but to feelings, images, and quiet nudges within your spirit. Divine guidance does not always come as a loud declaration. Sometimes it is a gentle knowing, a sense of ease, or a sudden moment of inspiration that cannot be ignored. With time, you will develop the ability to distinguish between the noise of fear and the voice of divine wisdom. The voice of God will never bring confusion, anxiety, or chaos. Instead, it will bring a sense of calm, clarity, and confidence, even when the path ahead is uncertain. If an idea or direction fills you with peace and a sense of possibility, trust that it is from God. But if it brings tension, hesitation, or fear, take a step back. God does not operate in confusion, but in divine order. As you become more receptive to divine signs, you will notice that your spirit team, your angels and guides, are constantly working behind the scenes to help you interpret God's messages. They may leave symbolic signs in your path, like feathers, repeating numbers, or unexpected encounters that lead to major breakthroughs. They might place the right person in your life at just the right moment, or give you a dream filled with hidden meaning. The more open you are to receiving, the more easily you will recognize these divine confirmations. Have you ever wondered how many of the coincidences in your life were actually God's way of speaking to you? Think back to a moment when you received an answer in a completely unexpected way. Maybe through a song on the radio, a message from a stranger, or a sudden realization that brought you clarity. These are not random moments. They are God's whispers reminding you that you're not alone, that you're being guided, and that your journey is unfolding exactly as it is meant to. The more you acknowledge these divine signs, the more you will trust them. The more you trust them, the more they will appear. This is the beauty of living in alignment with God's will. You no longer feel lost, uncertain, or disconnected. You begin to flow with the rhythm of divine guidance, moving forward with a deep sense of purpose and peace. There is a moment in every spiritual journey when faith transforms from something abstract into something deeply personal, tangible, and alive. What once felt like a distant connection to God suddenly becomes an intimate, ongoing conversation. Prayer shifts from being a mere request for help to a sacred dialogue filled with trust, gratitude, and revelation. Instead of searching desperately for signs, you begin to notice that God has been speaking all along, through whispers in your heart, through unexpected encounters, and through moments of clarity that seem to arrive just when you need them the most. This evolving relationship with divine guidance does something powerful. It builds resilience. No longer do life's challenges send you into a spiral of fear and uncertainty. Instead, you become anchored in the unwavering presence of God. The storms may rage, but your spirit remains steady. You begin to recognize that no matter what happens, you are equipped to handle it because you are not walking this path alone. The inner compass that divine wisdom provides becomes your guiding light, a north star that never fades even when the night seems darkest. The Bible is filled with stories of those who walked in this kind of trust. David stood before Goliath not because he was the strongest warrior, but because he knew God was with him. Esther stepped forward to save her people, knowing that her position was no accident but part of a divine plan. Even in moments of deep uncertainty, their faith illuminated their next steps, one at a time. This is the beauty of divine guidance. It is not always about seeing the entire road ahead, but about having the confidence to take the next step, trusting that God will reveal the rest in His perfect time. You may have already felt this in your own life, those moments when, despite feeling overwhelmed, you suddenly experienced a quiet reassurance that everything would be okay. Maybe it was a small voice whispering inside your heart, an unshakable peace in the midst of chaos, or a situation that unexpectedly worked out in your favor. These are not coincidences. They are proof that divine guidance is always at work. The more you trust in it, the clearer it becomes, lighting the way through each new challenge and opportunity. But divine wisdom is not meant to remain in the unseen realms of your thoughts and spirit. It is meant to manifest in action. God does not give you revelation so that you remain in stillness. He gives you vision so that you may step forward and bring His plans into reality. This is where many people hesitate. They wait for perfect conditions. They overthink, analyze, and doubt whether they are truly capable. But the true power of divine guidance is unlocked only when it is put into motion. Inspiration without action remains just a thought, but inspiration paired with courage becomes transformation. Think about Moses. When God called him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, Moses could have remained in his doubts. He could have let his fear convince him that he wasn't ready, that he wasn't capable, that someone else was more qualified. But instead, he acted. He stepped forward in faith, and through his obedience, God's plan for deliverance unfolded. Or consider Noah. When God instructed him to build the ark, there was no sign of rain. From the outside, it must have seemed foolish to spend years constructing a massive boat while the skies remained clear. But Noah did not wait for visible proof. He moved in faith, trusting in the divine guidance he had received. And when the flood came, he and his family were ready. How many times have you felt an inner nudge, an idea urging you to start something? a desire to shift your path, a calling to build deeper connections, only to hesitate because you were unsure. What if those very moments were God's way of preparing you for something greater? What if, instead of questioning, you simply trusted and took action? When you start treating divine nudges as marching orders instead of mere suggestions, your life begins to change. Maybe God has been prompting you to start a new project, to reach out to someone, to leave behind something that no longer serves you, or to take a bold leap toward your purpose. These whispers are not random thoughts. They are divine invitations to step into alignment with your destiny. Now is the time. You're not being called to remain in contemplation, but to move in faith. The doors God has opened before you will not remain open forever. At some point, hesitation becomes disobedience, and delayed action can mean missed opportunities. But when you trust that God's timing is perfect, and that He equips those He calls, there is no reason to delay. This is your moment to turn divine inspiration into real-world results. You are not just a receiver of wisdom. You are a vessel through which God's will is made manifest. As a bridge between heaven and earth, you are meant to take what is revealed to you in the Spirit and bring it into reality. So, what is it that you know, deep down, you are being called to do? What idea, what vision, what dream has been stirring in your heart? Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop letting fear and uncertainty rob you of your calling. Move now, act now, trust now. If you are ready to step forward in faith, drop an "I am ready" in the comments. This is not just a declaration, it is a commitment to aligning your actions with divine purpose. The time for hesitation is over. God has spoken. Now it's time to move. There is a moment in every spiritual journey when hesitation and faith collide. It happens in that instant when you feel a deep stirring within your soul, a quiet nudge, an inner whisper, an idea that lingers in your heart. It may not make perfect sense. It may not come with all the answers, but something inside you knows it's from God. And yet, fear and doubt creep in. What if I fail? What if I'm not ready? What if this isn't the right time? These thoughts swirl in the mind, creating a cycle of hesitation that keeps so many from stepping into their divine calling. But here is the truth. When God calls you to move, He has already prepared the way. The only thing left is for you to trust Him enough to take the step. Throughout Scripture, we see how God called His people to act in faith before they could see the outcome. The Israelites did not wait for the Red Sea to part before stepping forward. They moved, and as they obeyed, the waters split before them. When Joshua was instructed to march around the walls of Jericho for 7 days, the walls did not fall because of the physical act of marching. They fell because Joshua and his people obeyed, activating divine power. Faith is not about waiting until everything makes sense. It is about acting in obedience and trusting that God will reveal the next step as you walk. This is how miracles happen, not through hesitation, but through faith-filled movement. God has always required His people to trust Him beyond their own understanding. Think about Abraham. When God told him to leave his homeland and go to a place he had never seen, Abraham had no map, no blueprint, no guarantees, but he obeyed, and each step he took brought him closer to the fulfillment of God's promise. Faith is about trusting that God's plan is bigger than what you can see in the moment. It's about moving forward without demanding certainty. If Abraham had waited for perfect conditions, he never would have stepped into his divine inheritance. The same is true for you. Maybe God has placed something on your heart, a dream, a calling, a prompting to make a change, but you've been waiting for the right moment. Perhaps you've been sensing a need to shift careers, step into a new ministry, start a business, or mend a relationship. Yet fear of the unknown keeps holding you back. But what if instead of questioning you simply trusted? What if instead of waiting for perfect conditions you acted in faith? The truth is, divine favor is activated by obedience. When you move forward in alignment with God's instruction, doors open, opportunities unfold, and things begin to shift in ways you could have never orchestrated on your own. This does not mean the journey will be free of obstacles. Even when you act in faith, challenges will arise. But they are not meant to stop you, they are meant to strengthen you. David faced a giant. The battle seemed impossible, but he did not let fear paralyze him. He stepped forward, armed not with physical strength, but with divine confidence. And with a single stone, he took down what others thought was undefeatable. When you walk in faith, you will encounter resistance. You may face moments where things don't seem to be working out. But instead of seeing these as stop signs, begin to see them as confirmations that you're on the right path. The enemy does not attack those who are standing still. He attacks those who are moving toward their destiny. Every step of faith is a declaration that you believe God's plan is greater than your fear. And when you move with that kind of certainty, your entire energy shifts. You begin to radiate confidence and peace. People around you may not know exactly what has changed, but they will sense it. Just as Jesus' presence brought light into the darkness, your willingness to walk in faith will inspire others to trust their own divine journey. Not every act of faith will be grand or dramatic. Sometimes it's the small, quiet acts of obedience that set miracles in motion. A kind word spoken at the right time, a moment of courage when fear whispers, "Wait," a decision to trust when doubt says, "Hold back." These seemingly insignificant actions create a ripple effect of divine alignment. They are the brushstrokes in the masterpiece of your destiny. Each step, no matter how small, is part of a bigger picture. So many blessings remain untapped because hesitation replaces obedience. How many breakthroughs have been delayed because someone was too afraid to take the first step? How many divine plans remain unfulfilled because of fear? Do not let that be your story. The next time you feel that nudge, move. Even if you don't have all the answers, even if you're uncertain of the outcome. Take the step. God is not asking you to have it all figured out. He is asking you to trust that He already has. Your willingness to take action has set you apart. You are not merely speaking about faith, you're living it. Each step you take, each moment you choose obedience over fear, each time you trust divine whispers rather than the voices of doubt, you're strengthening the bridge between heaven's guidance and your earthly reality. This is the essence of walking in alignment with God, not striving to control every outcome, but flowing with His wisdom and grace, allowing your journey to unfold in divine timing. With time, this practice becomes second nature. When God speaks, you listen. When He nudges, you move. Even when uncertainty lingers, even when fear whispers, "What if?" You have learned to trust the inner compass that faith has built within you. This is the transformation that comes from aligning with God's plan, no longer battling against the unknown, but embracing it as part of the divine unfolding of your destiny. But faith is not a one-time decision. It is a lifelong practice. Spiritual momentum must be nurtured and sustained. It is not enough to step out in faith once and assume the journey will be effortless. Like the Israelites, who had to walk through the wilderness before entering the promised land, every step of obedience builds endurance, and every moment of trust deepens your foundation. The hardships were not random, they were preparation. Could it be that even the doubts that creep in now are part of your spiritual training, leading you to an even greater level of trust in God? It is natural to wonder, can I trust this peace? Can I really believe that the struggles I once knew are behind me? But take heart, God does not make empty promises. When He closes a case, it is closed. When He declares victory, it is finished. His blessings are not fleeting. They are permanent shifts in your spiritual evolution. The new chapter you're stepping into is not a temporary escape. It is a divinely ordained transition into something greater. Yet, doubt is persistent. When life presents new challenges, the enemy will attempt to convince you that the peace you feel is an illusion, that perhaps your past struggles are not truly over. But here is the truth. Doubt is not a sign of failure. Doubt is an opportunity to deepen your faith. Instead of seeing it as a step backward, recognize it as an invitation to reconnect with your spiritual foundation. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. This powerful verse is a reminder that faith is not about never experiencing doubt. It's about knowing where to turn when it arises. When uncertainty stirs within you, do not spiral into fear. Pause, breathe, return to your spiritual practices, prayer, meditation, journaling, or simply sitting in quiet reflection. These moments of stillness allow God's presence to become tangible again, restoring your confidence and reaffirming your path. Remember the disciples caught in the storm. When the waves raged and fear overtook them, Jesus was there, calm, unshaken, commanding the sea to be still. Mark 4:39. Just as he stilled the waters, he can still the fears that rise within you. Will you allow yourself to rest in his peace, to trust that the same God who brought you through your past will sustain you through your future? Every time you affirm your trust in God, you reinforce the faith that will carry you through life's challenges. You are no longer the person who second-guesses divine guidance. You are the one who walks boldly into what God has prepared. And as you continue on this journey, you will begin to see how every step, even the painful ones, was woven into God's greater plan for you. As you step forward, create a simple yet powerful ritual to reaffirm your faith whenever doubts threaten your peace. Perhaps it is lighting a candle and declaring, God's promises for me are sure. Maybe it is placing your hand over your heart and whispering, I trust the path before me. Or perhaps it is opening your journal and listing every moment where God has already proven his faithfulness. Whatever it is, let it be a sacred moment that grounds you in truth. When uncertainty creeps in, it is not a sign of failure, but an opportunity to reinforce your spiritual foundation. Each moment of doubt can be transformed into a sacred reminder of God's unwavering presence in your life. Whether it's lighting a candle and declaring, I am supported, my path is guided, all is well, or sitting in silence, eyes closed as you visualize God's radiant light encircling you, these simple practices serve as spiritual anchors. Imagine this divine light flowing through every cell of your being, restoring your confidence and reminding you that you are never alone. Each time you engage in such a ritual, you take what could have been a moment of fear and turn it into a powerful act of trust and surrender. Faith is not just about believing in the good times, it's about standing firm when challenges arise. Many people mistakenly think that encountering obstacles means they have somehow lost their way or that their spiritual growth has regressed. But trials are not indications of failure. They are spiritual training grounds designed to refine your faith. Just as a muscle strengthens through resistance, your spiritual resilience grows each time you choose faith over fear, wisdom over worry, and peace over panic. Rather than reacting with frustration when difficulties arise, begin to see them as exercises for your spirit, opportunities to deepen your trust and sharpen your problem-solving skills through the wisdom God has already placed within you. One of the greatest ways to sustain your faith is to surround yourself with people who uplift, encourage, and support your journey. The voices you allow into your life shape your perspective. Just as a gardener carefully selects fertile soil for planting, you must be intentional about who speaks into your spirit. Are the people around you feeding your faith or fueling your doubt? Seek out friends, mentors, or a faith-based community that not only inspires, but also holds you accountable in your walk with God. These nurturing connections become a network of strength, reinforcing your spiritual foundation whenever doubt arises. Take a moment to look back on how far you have come. Think about the breakthrough moments, the times when you once felt stuck but were divinely guided toward clarity. Remember the feeling of liberation when you let go of burdens that no longer served you. Reflect on the prayers that were answered in unexpected ways, the moments of intuition that led you exactly where you needed to be, and the challenges that once seemed insurmountable but ultimately became stepping stones. Nothing you've overcome has been by chance. Every single moment, both the struggles and the triumphs, was divinely orchestrated to bring you to this point. Your spirit team and heavenly support system see the strength you are building. They understand that faith is not solidified in a single grand moment, but through consistent practice and gentle persistence. Each time you refuse to succumb to insecurity and instead choose to anchor yourself in divine truth, you are reinforcing the energetic and spiritual framework of your life. Over weeks, months, and years, this framework strengthens, ensuring that your faith remains steadfast and unshaken even in times of difficulty. The more deeply you integrate divine wisdom into your daily existence, the more your presence becomes a light for others. Your unwavering faith becomes a calming force that those around you can feel without even realizing it. You radiate an energy of stability and trust, inspiring others to believe in the unseen forces guiding them as well. Your personal transformation creates a ripple effect, uplifting not just your own life, but those in your sphere of influence. As we move forward, remember this truth. Your faith is not fragile. It is a renewable resource that can be strengthened and deepened through conscious reflection, prayer, and intentional action. When doubts knock at the door of your mind, remind yourself that you hold the key to a sanctuary of peace built on divine promises and real-life experiences. No storm, no obstacle, no moment of fear has the power to destroy the foundation of faith that has been carefully built within you. You have reached a pivotal moment in your journey, a transition where breakthroughs must now become daily truths. It is one thing to experience divine guidance, but another to integrate it so fully into your being that it governs the way you think, speak, and act. Faith should not be a fleeting inspiration, but a permanent way of life. Think of it like constructing a strong building. No matter how magnificent the design, if the foundation is weak, the structure will eventually shift or crumble. Likewise, if your spiritual growth is not reinforced through daily commitment, old patterns can resurface and doubt can find its way back in. The early Christians understood this principle well. Their transformation after receiving the Holy Spirit was not a one-time emotional experience. It became their daily practice. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and to prayer. Acts 2:42. Their faith was not confined to certain moments or rituals. It became the foundation of their lives. Have you allowed your spiritual growth to move beyond inspiration and into the fabric of your daily reality? The key to sustaining transformation is consistency. If you do not consciously reinforce what you have learned, spiritual stagnation can creep in. If old doubts or habits resurface, do not be discouraged. Even the strongest believers have moments of struggle. The difference is how you respond. Will you let fear pull you back into old patterns? Or will you choose to stand firm in the truth that God has already declared over your life? What you have been given is not temporary. The peace, the clarity, the newfound sense of alignment, this is yours to keep. Now, it is time to make it the unshakable foundation of your everyday life. You are not the same person you once were. The weight of past struggles has lifted, the confusion that once clouded your vision has cleared, and you have stepped into a newfound sense of freedom, clarity, and divine alignment. You have tasted what it means to walk in the presence of God, and that experience has forever reshaped your perspective on life. Paul's words in 2 Corinthians 5:17 are not just a comforting reminder. They are a bold declaration of who you are now. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone, the new is here. Your old fears, your old doubts, your old limitations, they are no longer yours to carry. The chains that once held you back have been broken, but now it is your responsibility to protect and nurture this transformation, this peace, this clarity, this divine connection. It must be guarded, strengthened, and cultivated daily. Look at the Israelites after being freed from slavery in Egypt. Their journey was not an immediate entrance into the Promised Land. They had to learn how to walk in their freedom. For 40 years in the wilderness, they were taught to trust God's provision, to rely on His timing, and to shed the mindset of bondage that had been ingrained in them. They stumbled, they questioned, they doubted, but every trial was part of their preparation. What if the challenges you are facing now are not obstacles but refinements, shaping you for the next stage of your divine journey? Spiritual transformation is not a single moment of enlightenment. It is a lifelong process of integration. Just as a builder carefully reinforces every layer of a foundation to ensure the strength of a structure, you must remain vigilant in your spiritual practices to solidify this new reality. Prayer, meditation, reflection, these are not optional extras. They are the tools that protect and strengthen the new life you are building. If you neglect these practices, the distractions of life may slowly pull you back into old patterns. But if you commit to reinforcing your faith each day, your transformation will not be temporary. It will become a permanent shift toward living in alignment with God's divine purpose. Now is the time to establish the daily habits that will keep you grounded. Choose one spiritual principle that resonates deeply with where you are right now. Maybe it's gratitude, patience, love, surrender, or unwavering trust. Whatever it is, make it your guiding focus. Each morning, reaffirm this commitment. Today, I choose gratitude. Carry this declaration with you throughout the day, letting it shape your words, your thoughts, your actions. When impatience, doubt, or frustration arise, use this principle as a guiding light, gently steering yourself back to your path. Over time, this consistent practice rewires your mind, deepens your faith, and transforms your responses until your chosen principle becomes second nature. But solidifying your new reality is not just about discipline, it is also about celebrating progress. Transformation does not happen in a single grand leap. It unfolds in subtle, sacred moments. Each time you choose understanding over anger, faith over fear, peace over frustration, you reinforce this new way of being. These seemingly small victories are not insignificant. They are proof that your transformation is real. Like waves slowly smoothing the edges of a rough stone, each decision to align with divine wisdom polishes you into the person you are meant to be. Through this process, treat yourself with patience and grace. Spiritual evolution is not a straight upward climb. It is a journey of plateaus where you integrate lessons, dips where you refine old wounds, and unexpected detours that bring you deeper wisdom. Some days you will feel an unshakable connection to God. Other days you may feel distant or unsettled. This is natural. God never asked for perfection, only for your willingness to keep going. Every sincere attempt to live from your higher nature strengthens your divine connection and deepens your spiritual resilience. Your spirit team, your angels, your divine guides are rejoicing as you embrace this phase of integration. While initial revelations bring excitement, true mastery is achieved through consistency. The question is, will you continue to walk in this truth even when life's distractions threaten to pull you away? When divine truth is no longer just something you hear, but something you live, your entire reality shifts. The wisdom of God flows effortlessly through your thoughts, your words, and your actions, not because you are constantly striving to remember it, but because it has become a part of you. No longer do you have to battle for balance or fight for clarity, because your foundation is solid and your spirit is aligned. At first, this transformation required conscious effort. You had to remind yourself to trust in divine timing, to surrender control, to choose faith over fear. But as you walked in these principles day after day, they became second nature. Now, gratitude is not just something you practice, it is something you embody. Peace is not something you chase, it is something you carry within you. Compassion flows from you naturally, and patience walks beside you like an old friend. This is the beauty of true spiritual evolution, not a momentary high, but a permanent shift in how you experience the world. As this alignment deepens, you will notice how every aspect of your life transforms. What once felt stressful or heavy now unfolds with ease. Your professional life, once fueled by pressure, ambition, or self-doubt, is now infused with clarity, purpose, and collaboration. Your relationships soften. Where there was once misunderstanding, there is now grace. Conflicts no longer weigh on you because you understand the power of forgiveness and release. Even your free time is different. No longer drawn to distractions that drain your energy, you naturally seek what nourishes your soul. Creativity, nature, meaningful connection, and moments of stillness with God. But let this be clear, this does not mean challenges will disappear. Life will still bring obstacles, but you will meet them differently. Instead of being shaken by difficulties, you will see them as opportunities for refinement. Instead of reacting with fear, you will respond with faith. Your spirit will remain steady even when the world around you is shifting. Consider the story of Esther, a young woman seemingly insignificant in the grand scheme of the Persian Empire, was suddenly placed in a position of power as queen. Yet with that power came an impossible choice: to risk her life, to save her people, or to remain silent and safe. She could have hesitated, let fear dictate her steps, or convinced herself that someone else would take responsibility. But she did not. When the time came for her to act, she stepped forward with faith, declaring, "If I perish, I perish." Esther 4:16. And in that moment, she was not just living in her position, she was walking in her divine purpose. The same is true for you. There will be moments where God calls you to rise higher, to trust deeper, to step into something greater. Will you answer that call? This is what it means to embody spiritual alignment. To move beyond knowing into living. To trust not only when it is easy, but when it is uncertain. To stand firm not only when life feels peaceful, but when the storms come. When others retreat into fear, you step forward in faith. When confusion surrounds you, you remain still, knowing that God's guidance is leading you exactly where you need to be. Reflect on how far you have come. There was a time when doubt ruled your decisions, when fear kept you from taking the next step, when you questioned whether you were truly capable of change. But now you move differently. Now you think differently. Now you trust. You've walked through the fire and emerged refined. The chains that once held you back are gone, and in their place is a quiet, unwavering confidence, one that doesn't waver with the winds of circumstance. This is what happens when you commit to living in alignment with divine wisdom. It is no longer just something you believe in, it is who you are. Each day that you reinforce this truth, you strengthen your foundation. Every prayer, every act of kindness, every moment of stillness fortifies the structure you are building. You are no longer constructing a life based on fleeting emotions or external validation. You are building something eternal, something that cannot be shaken. However, this journey is not just about personal transformation. It is about being a light for others. As you walk in divine flow, your energy radiates peace, assurance, and stability. People may not be able to put it into words, but they will feel it. Your presence becomes a reflection of divine grace, a testimony of faith in action. You do not have to preach for people to notice the shift in you. they will see it in the way you live. And yet, spiritual alignment is not a straight, effortless road. There will be seasons where everything flows beautifully, where God's presence feels tangible, where synchronicity abounds, where inspiration comes effortlessly. In these times, rejoice. Plant seeds. Building. These moments are divine gifts, allowing you to set things in motion that will sustain you when challenges arise. Then, there will be seasons of stillness, of uncertainty, of waiting. These are not signs of failure or regression. They are divine pauses, necessary spaces for integration, for deepening, for strengthening. Just as the earth needs winter to prepare for the abundance of spring, your soul requires moments of stillness before the next expansion. Think of Peter, the same disciple who walked on water also sank when doubt overtook him. The same man who proclaimed Jesus as the Son of God also denied him 3 times. But did that mean his faith was invalid? Did that mean his journey was over? Peter's faith was refined through these moments. His missteps became part of his testimony, and in the end, he became one of the strongest foundations of the early church. Matthew 14:29-31, John 21:15-17. So when you encounter moments where you feel unsteady, do not be discouraged. They are not the end of your journey. They are simply part of the process. There is a sacred rhythm to life, a divine cadence that cannot be rushed. Just as the earth moves through its seasons, spring for planting, summer for growth, autumn for harvest, and winter for rest, your soul too has its own divinely orchestrated cycle. Some seasons call for action while others require patience, stillness, and faith. Just as a farmer does not force a seed to sprout before its time, you must trust that God's plan unfolds with perfect precision. There are moments when you may feel the urge to push forward, to force progress, to chase after answers before they are ready to be revealed. But God does not operate on human timelines. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Isaiah 55:8-9. When you rest in His timing, rather than striving in your own strength, you align yourself with the flow of divine grace. Instead of exhausting yourself trying to control outcomes, you surrender and allow His blessings to unfold naturally. In the waiting, there is purpose. In the stillness, there is preparation. Consider the story of Hannah. For years she longed for a child, pouring out her soul before the Lord in deep sorrow. Though she did not receive an immediate answer, her season of waiting was not in vain. When the time was right, she bore Samuel, a prophet who would change the course of Israel's history. 1 Samuel 1. Had she received what she wanted when she first asked, she may not have been ready for the calling that came with it. Her waiting was not a punishment, it was preparation, and so is yours. This journey is not about rushing to a finish line, but about fully inhabiting each moment, each lesson, each blessing, and each trial with a heart that trusts in God's divine orchestration. When you learn to embrace the seasons of your life, rather than resist them, you move in harmony with the Holy Spirit. You stop labeling experiences as good or bad, and start seeing them as threads in a grand tapestry, each one necessary, each one adding depth and meaning to the masterpiece God is weaving in your life. Over time, this shift in perspective changes everything. What once felt like failure now reveals itself as redirection. What once seemed like a setback is now recognized as an essential lesson. Your resilience grows, your faith strengthens, and your ability to move with grace through life's ups and downs deepens. Even your language begins to transform. Complaints turn into reflections, judgments give way to understanding, and despair is replaced by quiet confidence. You no longer speak from a place of fear or limitation, but from a heart filled with faith and expectancy. Your words begin to carry the weight of divine wisdom, subtly encouraging those who hear them to believe in the possibilities that God has set before them. As you step into this season of alignment, you will find yourself naturally drawn to what truly resonates with your soul. No longer will you chase validation from others, striving to meet external standards of success. Instead, you will walk in the unique calling that God has placed within you. Your decisions will no longer be dictated by societal expectations, but by divine purpose. This authenticity will not only bring you freedom, but it will also attract opportunities that align perfectly with what God has prepared for you. But remember, you were never meant to walk this path alone. Seeking guidance is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of wisdom. As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Proverbs 27:17. Surround yourself with mentors, faith-filled communities, and those who uplift and encourage you in your spiritual journey. Even in moments when you feel lost or uncertain, God will send people, messages, or unexpected signs to remind you that He is leading you every step of the way. The spiritual realm celebrates every step you take toward growth, every lesson you integrate, every fear you release, every act of faith you take. They are all cause for rejoicing in heaven. God delights in your progress. He sees the effort you make to align with His will, and He is continuously guiding you into deeper levels of wisdom and understanding. The struggles you once faced were never meant to break you. They were designed to shape you into the person you are meant to become. As you continue forward, listen closely to your inner guidance. You will begin to sense when a season is complete and when it is time to step into something new. When it is time to let go, you will have the strength to do so. When new challenges arise, you will meet them not with fear, but with resourcefulness and faith. This confidence is not arrogance. It is the quiet assurance that God walks with you, within you, guiding each step. Your spirit team and heavenly guides are already rejoicing over the discoveries that lie ahead for you. They see the wisdom you will gain, the lives you will touch, and the ways in which you will inspire others to step into their own divine power. They know that your journey is not just about your own growth. It is about the ripple effect your transformation will create. By embracing this lifelong path of spiritual evolution, you are rewriting your relationship with time. Days are no longer just passing units on a calendar. They are opportunities. Every sunrise brings a new chance to refine your inner landscape, to deepen your divine connection, and to leave a lasting impact on the world around you. Every moment carries the potential for revelation, for healing, for awakening. So move forward with soft eyes and a steady heart. Wherever the road leads, trust that you are equipped. Trust that God's grace surrounds you. Trust that every experience, whether joyful or challenging, is a stepping stone toward greater wholeness. As we conclude this message, remember, God has already closed the case on your past struggles. What He has opened before you is something far greater, a new chapter filled with opportunities, wisdom, and a purpose beyond what you could have imagined. You are no longer the same person. You've entered a new season, one that is in perfect alignment with God's divine plan, fully equipped to overcome life's challenges with grace and faith. Hold tightly to these truths. They are your guide. And whenever you need to be reminded of the power of this journey, come back to this message, for it carries the wisdom and strength you need. Your spirit team and the divine realm are with you, cheering for every step you take in faith. Every time you choose faith over fear, every time you embrace your higher calling, the universe celebrates with you. If this message has touched your heart, I invite you to declare your readiness for this new beginning. Leave a comment saying, "I am ready for my new beginning," as a sign that you're stepping forward with faith into the future God has prepared for you. The doors are open wide. Now it's time to walk through them. Before we go, I want to take a moment to thank you for your time and for being part of this community. Your support means the world. If this message has spoken to you, consider leaving a donation via Super Thanks. Whether or not you choose to donate, I am deeply grateful for your presence and support. Please like, subscribe, and share this message with those who need it. Your comments and shares help spread this truth far and wide. May God bless you abundantly as you step boldly into the future He has set before you. You are truly chosen, and His blessings are with you every step of the way.